Hello, you're watching VNA News Bulletin. I'm Vong from Hanoi, and now the headlines as usual. The first session of the 14th National Assembly opens in Hanoi. Vietnam-US ink anti-dumping duty agreement over streams. Hanoi hosts International Expo on ICT. The 14th National Assembly convened its first session in Hanoi on July 20th, focusing on electing high-ranking state personnel for the 2016 to 2021 tenure and discussing crucial issues of the country. More in the following report.
In her opening speech, National Assembly Chairwoman Nguyễn Thị Kim Ngân welcomed 494 deputies elected to the 14th legislature and asked the deputies to uphold their sense of responsibility, brain power, and democracy in discussions to ensure the first section succeeds. She also expressed hope that the deputies will work together in creating a driving force for the 14th National Assembly to accomplish assigned tasks soundly. Meanwhile, Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng reminded the deputies that voters nationwide expect to see how they will perform their role as representatives of the goodwill and aspiration of the people. He stressed that the deputies should keep regular contact with voters, listen carefully their voices and petitions, and convey them honestly, and resolutely fight against bureaucracy, corruption, willfulness, and other negatives. Sitting from July 20th to 29th, legislators will be discussing and deciding on high-ranking personnel for the state. They will elect the National Assembly chairperson and vice chairpersons, the state president and vice state president, the prime minister, the chief justice of the Supreme People's Court, and the state auditor general, among others. The lawmakers will also decide on the apparatus of the government, approve the appointment of the deputy prime ministers, ministers, and other government members, vice chairs, and members of the National Defense and Security Council. They will also debate and decide on a number of other matters, including the government reports on socio-economic development and state budget for the first half of this year, solutions to the socio-economic development and state budget for the second half of this year.
Also on July 20th, State President Trần Đại Quang hosted a reception for newly accredited Danish ambassador to Vietnam, Charlotte Lawson. President Quang said Vietnam attaches importance to developing international relations with Denmark, an important partner in North Europe, and thanked the country for its provision of official development assistance for Vietnam in recent years. The President affirmed that Vietnam has adopted preferential policies and created favorable conditions for foreign investors, including those from Denmark, to do long-term business in the country. He believed that the to-be-signed Vietnam-EU Free Trade Agreement will open up new cooperation opportunities between two sides, including the business communities of Vietnam and Denmark. Ambassador Lawson highlighted the development of bilateral relationship over the past 45 years. The diplomat stressed that Danish investors have paid due attention to the Vietnam market, where many other Danish enterprises have operated successfully in different fields. Vice President Đặng Thị Ngọc Thịnh has called on the international community to continue supporting Vietnam in effectively implementing the national strategy on climate change adaptation.
She was speaking at the opening session of a high-level segment on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and coping with climate change of the UN Economic and Social Council in New York on July 19. The Vietnamese official referred to impacts caused by climate change, including prolonged El Niño phenomenon, on the realization of the SDGs and the people's enjoyment of their rights. while highlighting efforts made by the Vietnamese government in assisting the people. Thick expressed her hope that the international community will provide more assistance for Vietnam, especially financial aid, technology, and specific initiatives to cope with the situations. Meeting with President of the UN General Assembly Mogens Lykketoft, the Vietnamese Vice President valued the UN's support of Vietnam. Regarding the East Sea issue, the Vice President asserted Vietnam's consistent stance on the settlement of relevant disputes by peaceful measures. Mogens Lykketoft spoke highly of Vietnam's contributions to the region, affirming that the UN will support Vietnam in responding to climate change and realizing sustainable development goals. He stated the UN backs the handling of disputes in a peaceful manner with respect to international law. During a meeting with the Vietnamese Vice President, UN Under-Secretary General and Director of the UN Development Programme Helen Clark said the UN agency will enhance links with Vietnam and assist the country in improving the institutional capacity, green growth and climate change response in 2017-2021. In the meeting, Under-Secretary General and Executive Director of the UN Population Fund, Babatunde Osotimahin, committed to supporting Vietnam in dealing with population challenges such as gender imbalance at birth, reproductive health, population aging, and population quality improvement.
Deputy Minister of Defense, Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Chí Vịnh, and a high-level delegation from the Ministry of National Defense are paying official visit to Cuba from July 17 to 21st. Our correspondents in Havana will bring more details.
Receiving the Vietnamese officials, Cuban First Vice Minister of Revolutionary Armed Forces, Chief of the General Staff, Senior Lieutenant General Alvaro Lopez Mira, described the visit as a vivid illustration of the sound and faithful traditional friendship between Vietnamese and Cuban parties, states, armies and people. For his part, Senior Lieutenant General Nguyễn Chí Vịnh said Vietnam attaches much importance to relations with Cuba. At a reception for the Vietnamese delegation, member of the State Council, Minister of Revolutionary Armed Forces, Senior Lieutenant General Leopoldo Sinta Frias said he hoped the visit will be successful to help reinforce the long-standing enmity between the two countries. On July 18 and 19, the Vietnamese delegation visited some defense industrial facilities and military medical university, where the two sides discussed the possibility of cooperation and experience in dispatching army doctors to carry out international missions.
Vietnam and the U.S. have signed an agreement related to anti-dumping duty over shrimp imported from Vietnam. More details coming up next. Accordingly, the two sides reached bilateral solutions to settle the two long-lasting World Trade Organization disputes over imports of Vietnamese shrimp to the U.S., in which Vietnam sues the U.S. for violating WTO regulations when imposing anti-dumping duty on Vietnamese shrimp. Earlier on May 20th, at Vietnam's request, the U.S. Department of Commerce began administrative procedures to carry out the WTO dispute findings. As a result, a Vietnamese export of frozen warm water shrimp, Minh Phu Group, will no longer be subject to the anti-dumping duty order. In addition, due to deposits will be refunded to the Minh Phu Group. The anti-dumping duty order will remain in place for all other exporters of warm water shrimp from Vietnam. The signing of the agreement is the result of negotiation efforts and goodwill of both sides. Vietnam helped the U.S. enforcement of WTO ruling. This also reflects the U.S. goodwill to strengthen its ties with Vietnam, especially at the time when the two countries participate in the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. The Ministry of Industry and Trade called for more concerted efforts from government, localities and businesses to reach the target of 10% export growth this year.
At a conference held on July 19th in Ho Chi Minh City, the ministry said it would encourage the use of high technology, innovative management practices, while focusing on institutional reforms and new governmental policies.
Bộ Công Thương cũng sẽ có những cái khuyến cáo và có những cái biện pháp cụ thể để tổ chức thực hiện.
The ministry is restructuring production sectors in parallel with developing brands and improving the quality of products to better meet the demand of markets.
Của các sản phẩm đáp ứng được các cái yêu cầu của các thị trường.
Although exports reached $82.13 billion in the first half of the year, up 5.7% against the period last year, the increase was lower than in the same period last year compared to 2014. Trade volume from key importers of Vietnamese products has showed signs of a decline or slow increase. The markets include Japan and the Eurozone. Besides the drop in trade volume, Vietnamese exporters are expected to face more trade barriers as many import taxes will be eliminated and existing and upcoming free trade agreements. Anti-dumping and anti-subsidy cases have also been on the rise, affecting Vietnamese exporters and preventing them from taking advantage of trade agreements. Other challenges are outdated production technology, limited management capacity, and weak competitiveness. In addition, many small and medium-sized businesses find it difficult to access capital. Unpredictable exchange rates, interest rates, and prices of fuel and materials for manufacturing on the global market affected many Vietnamese exports.
An international expo on information and communication technology products and services opened in Hanoi on July 20th. The expo aims to bring global advanced technologies to Vietnam and help domestic business to integrate into the world market. With 300 stalls of 150 enterprises from 15 countries and territories, Vietnam ICT-Com 2016 served as venue to connect domestic companies and their international peers. We see potentials in the Vietnamese market, particularly for the sale of tablets and smartphones. We are confident in the market and want to attract lots of customers at this exhibition.
应该是还有大部分的市场等待开发，所以这一次来我们主要是为了找到更多的客户，来这个卖出更多的智能手机。
我觉得越南市场作为一个新兴市场
To us, Vietnam is an attractive emerging market. As local cable television will thrive in the next couple of years. Taking into account both of government's policies and public demand, we find prospects.
Through different activities, workshops and seminars, the event is offering an effective channel for policymakers and business communities to interact.
Vietnam has adopted favorable policies for businesses operating in the ICT sector. We have access to preferential land leasing prices and tax policy.
Vietnam ICT-Com 2016 will run until July 22nd.
And that has wrapped up our news bulletin. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye for now.